football, basketball, baseball, and more. Your source for ACC sports is ACC Nation. Available on podcast, streaming radio, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe.
Well, we've gotten through week 14 and the ACC championship game. Hey, that's Will Ogenin, and I'm Jim Quest. This is ACC Nation. Thanks for letting us join you. We're going to talk a little football, maybe a little basketball on the outside of, all the other stuff that's going on, because there's a lot of stuff going on in football, and we're going to share that with you tonight. First of all, the ACC championship game. Again, a lot of people don't quite grasp why Duke was in that game. And, again, that was all set up. The whole system was set up long before this year. So it's just one of those things. And they slipped in. Hey, and you know what? They came with everything but the kitchen sink and gave Virginia a hard time all the way down the stretch, and came away with a 27-20 win in overtime. We'll give Virginia a lot of credit. Unfortunately, this is one of the instances where their overtime prowess did not kick into gear. So, your thoughts on this game? I know you were disappointed by the outcome, Will, for a variety of reasons, but
Right.
just some
I'll
thoughts.
I'll get to my true feelings in a second, but
I'm turning.
I'm not really interested. Like, I don't really want to get into the discourse of who deserved to be in it. This is the consequences of having a 17-team league or whatever it is now.
Yep.
You're never going to be able to, unless you have a true, play once a year format. And there's no way in hell college the ACC is going to 18 or 16 games or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you're never going to get a real true champion. So this is the consequences of those actions.
That's right.
The game itself, I thought Duke kind of like set the tempo for this game right away with their opening drive that took 15 plays and almost 10 minutes off the clock. Just running the ball down Virginia's throat. They had although Virginia had a stop and it was 4th and 7, but they jumped off sides to make it 4th and 2. Duke went for it and got it. This Virginia's first drive, they missed a field goal, and then the second play in, Duke threw a pick, and then Virginia got their first touchdown of the game off of it. But then the third drive for Duke, they faked a punt. Which was a really well-executed fake punt. They got the first down out of it, and then they went on an 8-minute drive that resulted in another touchdown. It was kind of like back and forth. It was trading scores here and there. It was 20-10 with less than 4 minutes left in the game. Virginia got the field goal. It kind of felt like it was over at that point, but then Virginia got the field goal, and then they finally played defense for the first time. Then they got the ball, went down and scored with 22 seconds left on a really nice play by Eli Wood, who was in the game because Trell Harris was injured a little bit earlier, and I think his season's done. But there's a play where he got forced out of bounds, then reestablished, and came in and made a really nice catch on a nicely thrown ball by Chandler Morris. I don't have an issue with them kicking the extra point in that point. There's probably a certain faction that would have said go for 2. And quite frankly, if I would have known that what Virginia would have called on that first play in overtime, I would have gone for 2 as well. They went to overtime. Duke got the ball first. They went down and scored on a 4th down and goal. Virginia committed a roughing the passer penalty on the play. So as a result, they had the start at the 40, and then, in true Virginia football fashion, they call an inexplicable double pass that was intercepted. Duke was the better team in this game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They were better in the trenches. Virginia just struggled to tackle all night. Nate Shepard had a really nice game on the ground. I think he ended up with about 90 yards on the ground. It was a complete 180 of the game a few weeks ago when Virginia just absolutely dominated. I knew coming into this game this was not going to be the case. I thought it was going to be a lot more competitive ball game. As far as, what was that play call? That just made absolutely no sense in overtime.
Did not. None whatsoever. And I I felt your pain 1,000 miles plus away. I did.
Mm. Yeah. So as far as my feelings, um, it stings. Not gonna lie. As y'all know, I'm a Virginia fan. I've been a Virginia fan my whole life. It stings because it's been 36 years since Virginia last won 10 games in a season. We're not normally supposed to be here. Never get here. And when in 2019, got absolutely obliterated by Clemson. We were the favorite coming in this game. Everything was lining up to go to the playoff for the first time. It got to overtime. You thought all the momentum was on their side after that, after coming back to score 10 points in 4 minutes. Like it made sense to go for the extra point because the momentum was on their side. And then they just couldn't do it in overtime. Yeah, it sucks. Was it a successful season? 100%.
Yeah.
We went into this season not knowing if Tony Elliott was going to survive the season. And they were, quite frankly, they were 3 plays from being undefeated. That's the way that's the way you look at it.
Yeah.
Because all three losses were by 1 score. North Carolina game, if Chandler Morris throws it to Dak Twitty in just outside the end zone, that's a touchdown, and Virginia wins the game. If uh, if Chandler Morris doesn't get hurt in the Wake Forest game, they probably win that game. Um, if the defense tackled, and I don't want to keep mentioning it, but if they would have called something other than double pass, maybe Virginia is 13-0, and hell, maybe they have a bye.
Yeah.
But alas, it didn't work. Still a phenomenal season. I will not listen to any discourse about the season being a failure because of what happened. Like there was this is one of those seasons where Virginia massively overachieved expectations. You should be happy that they got to this point. Yes, you can be upset about how things ended, but again, when is the last time Virginia's been? It was 6 years ago. This this school's never won an outright championship. They've shared it a couple of times, but they're yeah, it's gonna you hope it's gonna happen someday. But in the state of college football, I just think it's gonna be more and more difficult now.
Certainly challenging, that's for sure. And I think Virginia met a lot of challenges this year. Well, over the last couple of years, obviously, if you look at the program, and it have evolved and become a very interesting program. And their play has drawn a lot of attention, which it should. And as you mentioned, if they would have pulled off the win, they would be in the college football playoffs. Uh, Not to be, and not to discount anybody here at all, but Duke played a hell of a game, and the reality, and this isn't always the reality. So you know, it's easy, and I think I've said it sometimes myself that the better team won the game is doesn't always apply. In this particular case, the best team won that game. And as you pointed out at the very beginning of this game, uh, I think that Manny Diaz has sat down with his staff and they really went over the tape, really looked carefully at everything that Virginia does, and look for weaknesses, look for strengths. How can we counter this and do that? And did his homework. I think he did a hell of a good job from that standpoint. Mensa was a hell of a factor in this game. There were a lot of factors for Duke. Duke played a spectacular game. They came away with a championship that they haven't had since God only
I think it was
knows.
the 60s, right? And by the way, that interception Minsa threw was his first one against an ACC opponent this year. I think he had 5 all season.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, you
Also,
think about that.
yeah. Also, isn't it ironic that Manny Diaz won the ACC before Miami did?
Yeah. Feel better about firing him now, do you? Um,
And isn't it
anyway, I mean,
ironic?
you can,
Don't you
you can,
think?
you certainly, I mean, 2020 hindsight and all that, but you know, um, it was an exciting game, and I honestly I thought it was over long before the end. I should know better. I usually am the guy who's sitting in the stands at a game uh, and waits for half of the crowd to clear out before I actually get up and leave because I'm kind of rewinding aspects of the game in my head that I just saw, and I just had this really bad feeling that too early in this game that Virginia was just not going to be able to pull this out, and then all of a sudden it started going down this path that we've seen before, and it became one heck of a game. I mean, it's an exciting game, and for anybody who wants to discount ACC football, screw you. I honestly, really, whether you're in the conference or you're outside the conference, screw you. Some of the best football I have seen played this year has come out of the ACC, and and people discount a lot of what's here because it's an easy target. You know, it's just like, well, you guys have had bad teams in the past, and there's only been like one or two really dominant teams, et cetera, et cetera. But this season, there's been a heck of a lot of strong teams, a lot of great play, a lot of upsets, a lot of just fascinating play. You talk about quarterbacks. I mean, my God, go down the list of all 17 teams, and the quarterbacks in this conference are just amazing. And, a lot of them are coming back. So that's going to make it fun. And some of them are trying very hard to come back because they want to accomplish something. They feel
Hmm.
something is special with the team that they're on, and they want to come back and do that. They're not leaving. They want to stay right where they are and stick with their coach, their teammates,
Hmm.
and see what can happen next year.
Yeah.
I applaud you. So,
Yeah, and we're just trying to think off the top of my head. I know it came out this week that Jaron Callaway Sakabolotelli is going to stay with Cal. He had a meeting with the new coach Tosh Lupoy and committed this to staying to Cal. Mensah should be back again next year. Let's see, trying to just running through the team. Dylan Lonergan's in the portal, so Boston College is going to need a new quarterback. We'll see a Klubnik.
I think Klubnik is
FSU's
trying
going
to
to
come
need
back.
need another
Yeah.
quarterback. Georgia Tech's going to need a quarterback. Miami's going to need a
Okay.
quarterback.
Right.
Um, I don't know if Gio Lopez had any eligibility left. It might bring in another quarterback at NC State. CJ Bailey, I believe, is back next year. Um, Angeli, I believe he'll be back next year. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Virginia Tech will need a quarterback.
Mhm.
Virginia probably will need a new quarterback, although there's going to be I think there's going to be a push for Chandler Morris to get another year because of the one year he got hurt and only played like 3 or 4 games. But we'll see. I think it's a long shot, quite frankly. But there and
So,
I know I've missed some other schools. Wake's going to need a new quarterback if they're going to be competitive again next year. So yeah, I,
what's his face is Florida State. He's coming back, right?
Casals, no, he's done. He did try to he's trying to come back, but I don't know if Florida State is well there I think that he got denied an appeal, but I think he's going to court to get another year. And question is whether or not Florida State's even going to take him back. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Um, but anyway, I mean, the point is that this is a conference that's full of exciting teams, exciting players, and people that are being talked about very heavily among people who look at the NFL draft and go, where are our next grouping of quarterbacks and defensive ends and everything. Well, you don't have to look too much further than the ACC, and you'll find them and some quality players at that. So um, anyway, that's we could go on and on about ACC football and what a year it's been. I think next year is going to be even more exciting. Here's the thing that I think I would really love to see this year finally occur, rather than everybody hightailing it out and sitting out these bowl games. I would love to see, even if it's just some players that are equally as capable as the starters step up. I would love to see the ACC really dominate the bowls. Most people kind of blow off bowls, but hey, look, this is one of the best advertising things that you could ever come up with. You're on national television. People are addicted to watching college football. So whether it's, the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, Big 10, whatever, they're going to watch football. And they're going to switch around. It's like you and I, we've got multi-view, so we're looking at, all these different games and sometimes from different conferences to see how people are doing. Um, so this is a great opportunity when you have a bowl game to go and to get that exposure and to pump up, kids that may be going into the transfer portal, or kids that are in high school, pump them up about being a part of your team. Now, a team that has foregone that is Notre Dame, and the I think across the board, with the exception of Notre Dame fans, um, people are going like, what? The first response I had to that, well, I I think I was doing grocery shopping or something, and I saw that pop up on my phone, and I looked over at my wife and I told her what was going on, and I said, "Oh, sounds like somebody wants to take their ball and go home because the game's not going their way." I said that this is just ridiculous. I couldn't believe they did that. And some of the comments that some of the fans have made, including this one. This is the one that really got me. Some fans have actually said, why isn't the ACC out there, fighting for us instead of for Duke? Come on, what? Hang on here a second. Do you not realize the situation that you're in because you want to maintain your independence, which I'm all for? You want to do that? That's cool. But we don't have anything to do with you other than, you know, we play games,
Not
and
even half the season.
so to think that our commissioner is going to step up and fight for you, I don't get it. That was the strangest comment I think I've. Well, there's a couple others, but I can't repeat them here. I mean, it's like, what world are you folks living in? I don't know.
Yeah, I think what didn't Virginia, or not Virginia, but the ACC did probably prep up pop up Notre Dame in 2020 because that was the year they played the ACC schedule and went 10-2.
Yep.
Well, they were 10-0 and then lost the ACC championship game and then lost in the playoff in the playoff game to Alabama. But yeah, you know what? I mean Notre Dame to me got screwed, but like I think they should have gotten in instead of Alabama, quite frankly.
Okay.
Like
I will agree with you on that.
yeah, because and I even pointed this out to somebody. I'm like, the only reason Alabama is in is because the head of the committee is the AD at Arkansas, an SEC school. So of course, he's going to do what he can to get the SEC another school in. I don't like Notre Dame's reaction to it at all. This is they're acting like this is beneath them now.
Hmm.
And it almost makes you wonder as well, why didn't Florida State try this a couple of years ago when they got hosed out of the playoff because of Jordan Travis's injury, but they still they at least showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, they were there in spirit. I mean, score wise, but they, yeah, this is definitely a case of I didn't get my way. I'm I'm gonna go, home and cry to mommy, like a toddler does. So you're the one looking petulant in this Notre Dame.
Yeah. Really bad look. It's embarrassing. And I kind of feel, I kind of feel for them from the standpoint of the respect that that program has. Um, that this is what they're doing because it's just really beneath them to do that. But hey, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Just understand, it's just it's a and now we've we've got this conversation going on about an MOU, a memorandum of understanding that Notre Dame would be included in the CFP, blah 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 in the future. I'm thinking, I'm sorry, there's no room for MOUs for this. I mean, come on, what? Are you kidding me? Now that
Like,
boy, you want to talk about petulant child? God Almighty, that's just like ridiculous. You earn it, and folks, and I look. There's some degree, and I don't want to offend anybody at Duke, but um, this whole thing, and I almost feel like it was sort of almost a put on that this happened. But if you were serious, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Look, you know what the rules are, so don't complain that Duke did not get an invitation to the CFP for winning the ACC championship. That's not how it works. Read the fine print, okay? You weren't going to get in if when you won, you just weren't, okay? Because you haven't been ranked. That was the key. Virginia was, and that was the key to them being able to get into CFP if they won the ACC championship.
and not to mention, you lost 5 times this year, and lost
Tulane,
to one
UConn.
of them was to Tulane, who was in the playoff. Looking at just kind of, you didn't really, I mean, Clemson being down this year didn't help you, but you lost to UConn, lost to Georgia Tech, Illinois, Virginia, obviously. Georgia, yeah, they say they lost 5 times this year.
Mm-hmm.
The You weren't, yeah, it was a long shot to begin with getting into the playoff because of the 5 losses. And so, yes, I 100% support JMU getting in ahead of them because they only lost once, and their one loss is to Louisville, who they were competitive with for 4 quarters. And it because of everything of these bloated leagues, it's hard to compare because Duke didn't play Louisville this year.
Yeah.
But and I make this point up, teams like JMU, most schools are too afraid to schedule because they're afraid of getting beaten.
We've seen what JMU can do to people. Um, and let's not discount that team, or Tulane, or obviously UConn, or anybody else. The group of five teams that are out there. There's a lot of quality teams out there that can knock off Power Four teams in a heartbeat, and they have successfully, and embarrassed a lot of teams, and forced situations where nobody wants to reschedule them to play. Um, and we have that instance in the state of Virginia to some degree. It's something that happened, and it wasn't surprising. Anybody who follows JMU to any degree, which may not be a lot of people that are following this, but you should. that team has always put together a hell of a program and been very competitive at the FCS level before they moved into the FBS. And I mean, look at the fact that one of their coaches is now leading the number one team in the country
Hmm.
and turned that program around from a dumping ground into a really awesome program. Look at the fact that their current coach has been recruited because of what he's doing to be the new coach at UCLA.
Hmm.
Wake up, folks. Let's don't discount people just because they're not in a power conference.
Hmm.
You just got to stop
Like,
doing
yeah,
that.
they're going to be significant underdogs to Oregon, but
Sure.
would it be a shock if they hang around for a little bit? Not to me, I don't. I think they're, I mean, and you hit that nail on the head, Jim. I mean, there's a reason, Kurt Signetti went to Indiana and now has them as the number one team in the college football playoff, and Bob Chesney, the current coach, is now going to go to UCLA once this is all over. And JMU seems like an immediate ready to win type of program, and they just know how to hire good coaches over there.
Yeah, they do. And hey, just as a heads up, um, at one time, uh, JMU was the home of Lefty Driesell. Remember him from Maryland days in the ACC? He was coaching there. I had an opportunity to go in and watch him turn a program around and do excellent things with him, with little to nothing to work with for the most part, and did a great job. And you know, that is a, I think that is a school that to be honest with you, I know I've talked about this offline more than online, but you know, in the future, if you're going to be adding teams or looking at teams to add, you need to keep an eye on teams like JMU, like Tulane, and some others that have programs that are emerging in a lot of ways and are playing all the sports that we do in the ACC and that have a great following. And, um, that's a school that in a heartbeat, I today I probably would say it's too early to do this, but in a couple of years, yeah, I could see JMU getting into the ACC. They're competitive as hell. I mean, they really
If
are.
the league starts losing schools, would it surprise you if JMU gets the call?
Not at all.
No, I don't. I
I,
don't think it's a. I don't think it's.
it's a
Yeah.
it's a quality school on top of it. I mean, quality school. It's basically pulling the majority of their student body out of Northern Virginia, the DMV, Washington, Maryland, Virginia, and they've got a huge alumni group up there in DC. So there you add a super sized market. And I know Virginia and Virginia Tech pull to some degree in DC in Northern Virginia, but this is a lock in. Basically you can just bump Maryland right off the map. Nobody watches Maryland for anything up there. Maybe basketball, but certainly not football. I mean, and other sports as well. So
Yeah, they're a classic example of the grass isn't always greener.
that's right. So, well, they got their bag, and you go from there.
Yeah, and who knows how long that bag's going to exist, quite frankly, with the way Under Armour's going nowadays.
Yeah. So, what else is going on in football? Lots of stuff. So let's talk about some of the things that we have to look forward to. Let's talk about bowls. Our first in I'm not sure that all of them are set yet. So,
All the ones involving ACC schools are done. We're recording this at it's currently about 8:20 on Sunday night, and there is still one bowl game not announced because so many teams have declined bowls. Um, Kind of a trickle down effect of
yeah,
Notre Dame opting out of the bowl. And
Yeah.
now they're like literally they're going down to the 5 and 7 teams looking for schools to play in this one bowl game, and they're all just declining because they all thought they were done. So,
You
but as
know,
far as ACC schools, yeah, those are all set.
yeah, so Friday, December 19th, it's a Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa. NC State takes on Memphis. That should be a fun game.
Yep, Memphis gonna have a new coach. Their coach is gone to Arkansas. I don't know if he's going to be with the school for this game, and I think Memphis has a new head coach themselves. It's Charles Huff, who's now on his third school in 3 seasons. Went from Marshall, took over Southern Miss this year, and now is in Memphis. So, and this is exactly why the transfer portal is a fair thing for players because coaches can get to do it.
Yep, why not?
Not saying it's right or wrong. It's just that's just how it is.
It just is. Saturday, December 20th, college football playoff first round, College Station, Texas. It's number 10 Miami taking on number 7 Texas A&M. So what do you think?
Yeah, Miami 100% deserved to get him with the way everything played out yesterday on Saturday.
Mhm.
I was willing to leave them out, but with the way everything played out, with the rankings heading into the week, with just everything kind of going their way, it was pretty much a lock that Miami was going to get in. I thought, like I said, I thought Notre Dame would be in instead of Alabama, but you know, A&M, their offense is a little shaky, quite frankly, and they're gonna be going up against one of the best defensive lines in the country. I I know the game's in College Station, but I can sure see Miami giving them a fight.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun game. This is again a time for me to remind Mario Cristobal, keep the damn foot on the pedal because you're going up
Mhm.
against Mike Elko. No dummy, no dummy. This dude knows his ball, and he will mash the gas, and he will burn you up. So you better, if you're coming into this game and you want to win, which I assume you do, you need to go in with a philosophy. I'm in here to destroy and leave nothing standing, and that's the way you need to play through the college football playoffs. From beginning to end, it's got to be like that, or you're going to lose. Yeah. So, so we'll see where that game takes us. On Tuesday, December 23rd, Bush's Best Boca Raton Bowl of Beans. Ooh,
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
that's right. Louisville takes on Toledo. That should be a fun game, too.
Toledo actually lost their coach, who is taking over UConn. Jason Campbell, I think is his name. No,
Um,
Candle, that's his name.
yeah.
He's going to UConn. So I'm curious to see who is going to be available for Louisville in this game. I mean, it's 16 days out, so we don't know at this point, but just based on paper, this should be a Louisville win.
Could be. Yeah. This is one of the first games that was announced, and it kind of threw me off just a little bit because this is not one of the typical ACC affiliations. On Wednesday, December 24th, it's the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl in Honolulu. California takes on Hawaii. And to be honest with you, if I had an option to go someplace to play football, uh, coach, I'm going Hawaii.
Right? I mean, it's a kind of a nod to Giancarlo Sagapolutele, who's from Hawaii. Is Lupoi from Hawaii too, or am I thinking that wrong? No, he's from California. Never mind.
Yeah.
But this is a nice little spot to spend Christmas. Hawaii. Hawaii is a solid school. I think Cal should win this game. They're like say if with GKS back, and we'll see who if anybody else um opts out or hits the portal beforehand. But this looks like a game Cal should win.
Yeah. Saturday, December 27th, it's the Go Bowling Military Bowl in Annapolis. We got Pitt up against East Carolina. This should be a very good matchup if everybody is on board playing wise. If we're missing bits and pieces, as you have been noting here along the way, it, I mean, this could go either way.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a huge issue for Pitt that I know of. ECU 8-4 this season. They Here, let's see who they lost by 7 to NC State opening week. They know they can, and they lost 34-13 to BYU, who just missed out on the. And so and then they lost by a touchdown to Tulane, who was in the playoff. So this is a feisty team, but again, I think Pitt should win.
Saturday, December 27th, it's the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl in the Bronx. Clemson is taking on Penn State. This one surprised me. Clemson was people from three different bowls were fishing for Clemson to come join them, and the Pinstripe Bowl won out.
Yeah, who would have thought Clemson Penn State would be the Pinstripe Bowl and not a college football playoff matchup?
Yeah,
And
so
I said this when this game was announced. I'm like, how many players are going to opt out of this bowl for both teams? Quite frankly, I mean, it's the Pinstripe Bowl. Nobody, I mean, it's good for the schools and whatnot, but the people who are about to go into the draft, I think they're probably not playing in this
yeah.
game.
This actually um, has a lot of promise, and it will get a lot of exposure. They really know how to promote. The Yankees organization knows how to promote stuff there in New York. So putting Clemson and Penn State together, that's a nice matchup. And like you point out, it may not have all the bits and pieces that we're used to seeing or we're expecting, but should still be fun. Now, this next game is a really interesting matchup. Saturday, December 27th, the Pop Tarts Bowl in Orlando. Number 22, Georgia Tech is taking on number 12, BYU. Now, this is an ACC versus Big 12 matchup, so there's a lot of bragging rights here. And we'll see how this plays out. Again, we'll go back to what you said, Will. Who's going to be showing out to play in this game? That could be the critical factor. If you have the full contingency of both teams showing up to play, this could be a hell of a battle and one that is going to hold you right to the screen if you're not going to the game.
Absolutely. I mean, Haynes King probably one final time in a Georgia Tech, jersey go and play, he's done so much for this program the last couple of years. Obviously, the news came out this week that their offensive coordinator left to go to Florida, and as of I know the announcement of who's going to call plays in the bowl game is going to happen on Monday. Um, but it would be nice to see Haynes King get out there one more time for the Yellow Jackets. Obviously, BYU lost in the Big 12 championship game. They have a true freshman quarterback, Bear Bachmeyer, a running back who ran for over 1,300 yards this season. They have a really nice offense. Um, this should be a good game if all parties are accounted for.
Saturday, December 27th, it's the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, excuse me, in Jacksonville. Number 19, Virginia is going to be taking on Missouri. Should be a very interesting matchup as well.
Yeah, this is a good matchup. I hope a lot of the Virginia players are going to play in this game. This is a very senior laden team. I don't think Terrell Harris is going to play. I think he like seriously got hurt in that championship game. But Missouri has a running back that rushed for over 1,500 yards this season. And they have a really good defensive line that gets to the quarterback. They're like top 20 nationally in a lot of defensive stats. So they have a pretty good defense and a good running game. So this is going to be a real test for the Hoos.
Wednesday, December 31st, it's Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl in El Paso. Duke is taking on Arizona State. These teams are kind of evenly matched up. This ought to be another fun uh, game. I can't even imagine Pairing these two together, to be honest with you, it just so I don't know. It surprised me a little bit, but you know what? I just think this could be yeah, again. It really depends on who shows up, but man, this could be just an awesome game, and it's an opportunity for Duke and Arizona State, for that matter, for both of them to have some bragging rights about this is hey, this is who we are, and maybe you ought to look at us a little differently here on out.
Yeah, and obviously Duke, the ACC champion, they're riding a little high, but I also point out this game is on December 31st, so that's 24 days between
Mm.
games. So that's kind of the kicker to this is how are they going to be December, 24 days from now when the game happens. But if you're just looking at it straight on paper, I actually like the Blue Devils in this game. Just with their offense, I know sometimes they have a propensity to trip over themselves, but I think they can win this game.
Friday, January 2nd, it's Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte. Wake Forest will be taking on Mississippi State.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. Wake obviously a really successful first season, 8-4, taking on a 5-7 Mississippi State team, who again is in because of all of the opt-outs. So they had to find somebody, and Mississippi State was a willing participant. The only thing you need to know is their running back's name is Fluff Bothwell. As far, I mean,
Yes,
as far as
really.
weight goes, I hope they, they can get Demond Claiborne one more game in a Wake jersey. He can get to 1,000 yards for the season. Um, so yeah, I think Wake should be the favorite in this game, and hopefully they can win it.
Here's an opportunity for Rhett Lashley. I think that should not be overlooked here at all. This is an opportunity to put yourself in a really good position for that preseason poll for the next season. Friday, January 2nd, it's the Trust and Will Holiday Bowl in San Diego. SMU is taking on number 17 Arizona. 8-4 Stangs and 9-3 Arizona. So that wow,
Yeah,
this
this should be a fun game. Obviously we know what SMU can do. Kevin Jennings over 3,300 yards passing this season. Arizona's quarterback Noah Fafita, who's thrown for just under 3,000 yards, but is a 26-5 touchdown to interception ratio. He is really careful with the football. This should, like I said, this should be a fun game.
well, and we know now who is in the college football playoffs, and I think there's some really good matchups in here. I am not. I wasn't too upset with the way things played out overall. I think there's just going to be a hell of a lot of good football, and I mean that's kind of the point, isn't it? I mean, you know,
Mhm.
good football, good eyes on, and it makes a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that Miami Texas A&M game. That's going to be early on the 20th. The Tulane Ole Miss game is going to be interesting from the standpoint of what is Ole Miss now that Lane Kiffin's gone. Um,
Better.
he did allow Charlie Weiss Jr. the chance to go back and call the offense for this game. So nice of him.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. Uh,
Alabama, Oklahoma is just meh. I don't really care.
I'm rooting for Oklahoma.
Yeah,
That's
and
all.
then JMU Oregon that like that I think Oregon will win handily, but it'd just be nice to see the Sun Belt get into the playoff too.
I'm rooting for JMU. I may be rooting for a lot of underdogs here, but I just like to see the status quo upset.
Mhm.
I really do. I think it's fun, and it'll make people think. You know, hey, maybe it isn't as good this way or that way, or this team isn't as powerful as Second Coming.
And if Tulane ends up pulling off the upset of Ole Miss, we already have the ready-made excuse of, oh, they didn't have their coach. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
ready-made
hear that.
excuses are already there. That can't.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they didn't have the right people for this game. That don't count.
Uh-huh. Well, thankfully, because he's running for, I guess he's still running for Senate or something. I don't know what the hell he's running for.
Just
He,
run off my TV screen,
yeah,
please.
just run away. Um, we won't be hearing that much longer. We won't be hearing much from him, which is absolutely marvelous. Now, if we could just get rid of Stephen A, I would be pleased. Uh,
One thing at a time.
yep. And there are times I do enjoy Pat McAfee. There are other times
He's too much for me.
it's like, what the hell, dude? Um, yeah, get off whatever it is that you're on. Um, anyway, that's football, man. Got a lot of awesome stuff going on here. Now, basketball. Just yeah, I want to sort of get your opinion on some things here because uh, I've noticed you see that progression. You're starting to see teams really start to come into their own and to push other teams. I think the ACC did fairly well in that ACC SEC, head to head. But if you start looking closer at the scores and things and the performances of teams, you start seeing people like Wake Forest and Virginia Tech and other teams doing really well. Virginia is doing better. They seem to be finding themselves, and it's I think it's a very encouraging ACC men's side. The one I've been really upset about is the women's side. Here I was chattering at the beginning of the season about how this was going to be exciting women's basketball. What the hell happened, ladies? You fell off the face of the earth. I mean, it's like everybody just went. So I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, the I'll get to the women's side in a minute, but on the men's side, yeah, you talked about it. The ACC SEC challenge is a lot closer this year. It came down almost the last couple of games on Wednesday night before the SEC won, but Duke beat Florida by one in a pretty good game. Obviously, the defense won it in the end for the Blue Devils. Syracuse upset Tennessee at home. Syracuse has been a bit up and down this season. Carolina beat Kentucky in a really competitive game as well. Virginia Tech beat South Carolina
Mhm.
in overtime. That was mostly because South Carolina blew the end of regulation. I think they had the ball with with the clock running down, couldn't even get a shot off at the end. They just completely botched that. Miami beat Ole Miss. That was a nice win for the ACC. Um, Virginia just absolutely obliterated Texas. That was a really surprising result. They won by 19 and it wasn't even that close. Um, yeah, a lot of the other games that were close, obviously Boston College lost in overtime to LSU. BC was actually down 14 in the first half of the game, and then came back and tied it, but went 0-8 in overtime. And my math tells me if you do not make shots, you are not going to win ball games. Um, Clemson was competitive with Alabama. They lost by 6, but Clemson was 4-19 from three in that game. Louisville lost to Arkansas down in Fayetteville. It was a blowout for a while, but then Louisville made a pretty ferocious comeback to win that game. I forgot Notre Dame beating Missouri as well on the men's side. Just going to run over a couple other um, results throughout the week. Friday night, speaking of Notre Dame, they won at TCU in overtime, so the Irish having a nice start to the season. Saturday, Duke beat Michigan State up in East Lansing. That was a really impressive win for the Blue Devils. It was another really good defensive effort for them. Virginia beat Dayton down in Charlotte by 13. The Hoos were up by like 21 at one point, and then Dayton made another comeback to make this a really close game, but Virginia pulled away in the end. White had one of the most insane streaks I've ever seen. He was 9 of 9 from the field. He was 7 of 7 from three. He literally was just unconscious in a way I've never seen a basketball player. Elsewhere, Louisville beat Indiana. by 9. That game kind of lost some of the luster because Indiana lost earlier in the week to Minnesota. Boston College, speaking of them, they barely beat a new Division One school, New Haven, by 4, and they were actually down 10 at halftime. Wake Forest beat West Virginia in a quote unquote neutral site game. It was in it was in Charleston, West Virginia, I think.
Neutral.
Um, yeah, Sunday, on the positive side, UNC blew out Georgetown by 20. SMU beat Texas A&M in overtime. A&M or SMU was up quite a bit, and Texas A&M came back and tied it, and then it went to overtime, and SMU just blew them away. But on the negative side, Stanford lost to UNLV by 1, and Pitt lost to Hofstra by 7. Um, we're gonna. I think this might be Jeff Capel's last year at Pitt. It just doesn't seem like it's working out there. Um,
I don't think he's capable.
ah, yeah. I mean, as far as and this is true for both the men and women. There's not a lot of big games this week. A lot of schools are either in finals right now or about to start finals. You got Clemson, BYU, and the Jimmy V on Tuesday. UMass taking on Boston College on Wednesday, and then Saturday you've got Memphis, Louisville, Pitt, Villanova, K-State or Kansas, NC State, and SMU, LSU. Uh, Switching over to the women's side, and you talked about it. I mean, it was just a complete. The conference has just been a disaster this year. A lot of teams that we thought were going to be really good have disappointed in ways we didn't expect. NC State lost in overtime to Oklahoma. That was a really competitive game, though. Miami they lost by 16 to Kentucky. Stanford lost to Tennessee, but it was only by 3. Again, a really competitive game. Um, Syracuse did get a nice win over Auburn. Syracuse, it feels like they're back up on the up after a couple of down years. Um, Thursday, um, Louisville was right there with South Carolina. Had a comeback in the second half and almost beat them at Louisville, but South Carolina won by 2. Duke is 4-6 on the season. That's the one that you're probably talking about that is like, what is going on here?
Yep.
Now, to be fair, they're not horrible, horrible losses. I mean, you look at the losses. Okay, Baylor, West Virginia, South Florida, that one's questionable, especially with a team like them, a defensive oriented team like them giving up 85 points. But they lost by 30 to UCLA, lost by 16 to this LSU team in the challenge. Yeah, Duke has disappointed a little bit. Notre Dame as well. They lost to Ole Miss and it was a competitive game too. Virginia Tech did get a nice win over Florida. Um, SMU did beat Arkansas, but SMU's under 500 for the season, so that's been a disappointment. Just taking a look at the women's standings though. Uh, Syracuse is 8-1. We talked about Notre Dame 6-2, but there's some teams at the bottom of the standings I thought it'd be better. I mean, Virginia Tech 7-3, and I thought they'd be a little bit better than this. It's teams like the really bad teams like Pitt, who lost earlier in the season to a Division 3 school, um, has lost to a lot of other bye games, and then they had the ACC SEC Challenge game, and they lost by 35. It's teams like them that are going to kind of drag down the credibility of this league this year. I wouldn't expect the 7-8 bids that we would normally get from the women. It's probably going to be more in the 5 range. Um, but yeah, the ACC as a whole is kind of taking a beating early on the women's side this
Yeah,
season.
I don't get it. I really don't. Because they came into the season very strong.
Yeah, a lot of teams were ranked in the preseason, and some of them have fallen out. You talk about NC State; they've completely fallen out of the rankings, and they're barely above 500 right now. They're 6-4 after at this point, and yeah, we thought they'd be better. I mean, they had a 1 point loss to USC, who's obviously without Juju Watkins for the season.
Yeah.
A loss to TCU. The Rhode Island loss is the one that doesn't make any sense to me. They lost by them to them. at home, and that one doesn't make a lot of sense either. So it'd be interesting to see just kind of get a little bit of a deeper dive as to why the women's side has underperformed this season.
Women, you don't want to disappoint your Uncle Jimmy here. So get with it. I could have done that a lot worse than I just did. So,
Yeah.
don't give me the side eye. Trust me, I didn't want to take it too far there. It's bad enough the way it is.
Yeah. No
Anyway,
kidding.
we're rooting for you. That's all that matters. Okay, we got a lot of faith in you. I am big on women's basketball, and I'm sort of, what's going on? Ah. Anyway, there we go. Nice to see the men turning around. So, some good things going on. Well, all kinds of other stuff going on too, and we'll be talking a little bit more about basketball with guests as they come up. We're going to be slightly delayed next week, so hang in there. We'll be here next week, but we'll be slightly delayed, and so we'll be having, like I said, some guests talking basketball and some other sports as well as we get into the winter season of ACC sports on ACC Nation. Make sure that you check out Will on TikTok at ACC Nation Net and also on Instagram, correct?
Instagram is Will's World of College Sports.
It's
I
always
say AC Nation.
fun to check that out.
Yep, and Will's World MN on TikTok as well, where I post the mostly non-ACC college sports stuff.
Always good to see what's going on in Will's world. Okay.
Nice alliteration, right?
Some really interesting things going on.
Yeah, it was a very meaty day, wasn't it?
Yes. No, Will does a great job with that. He's got a lot of interesting thoughts and reflections on stuff, and it's usually right up to the contemporary kind of stuff that's just happening right as we're talking. Also, make sure that you check us out at accnation.net, and if you want to follow us on the podcast, make sure that you subscribe. We have on the web page a place where you can go and click. It's real simple. You can choose from a lot of ways to follow and listen to the podcast, have it sent to you by email even. There's a lot of platforms. Of course, everybody knows about Apple, but there's also Amazon and etc. So make sure you check us out there. We're on streaming radio as well. That is at accnation.net. And, of course, on YouTube, where you can watch this whole thing and go, how did they get out from their grandmother's basement? So that question is yet to be answered. So we're on YouTube as well. Until next time, my friends, cheers.
School.
Your source for ACC sports is accnation.net. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, Facebook, Reddit, and Blue Sky. For more content, be sure to subscribe.